The Creeks Division goals for storm monitoring are to identify the harmful pollutants that reach creeks during storm events, to investigate their impacts, and to track their sources. The other main goal is to measure project performance.
And what we're looking for are trends in pollution over time. We're also looking for looking to determine the effectiveness of stormwater treatment techniques and projects that we put into the ground.
One of the key goals of the water monitoring program is to measure the levels of microbial contamination and ascertain where it might be coming from.
The one area we usually test for vertebrate toxicity, invertebrate toxicity, and also toxicity to algal species. And that's the one area that we do have some question marks.
Stormwater and urban runoff from hard surfaces such as streets, sidewalks, parking lots, and driveways are major sources of creek and ocean pollution. The Creeks Division permeable paver projects are aimed at stemming the flow of urban runoff contamination during storm events.
When the Creeks Division does a stormwater improvement project, we go out before we do the project and we test the stormwater runoff from that project location so that we know what kind of pollutants are in the water and what the concentrations are of those pollutants.
We test that runoff for pesticides, oil and grease, indicator bacteria, nutrients, metals, and toxicity.
Permeable pavers are a grid of celled bricks that are laid over tiers of gravel. The bricks and gravel allow stormwaters to infiltrate into the ground below. Results have shown that the projects have been successful in preventing polluted runoff from flowing off-site.
What we find in those cases is no matter how hard the rain is that we've had, the rain doesn't run off those parking lots. It goes down into the soil there where it can percolate into the soil. Those pollutants that we found are treated naturally by microbes in the soil, and we've had no runoff since we put in those projects. So no runoff means no pollutants are getting into the creeks and ocean water from those areas.
Encouraging results have also been found in stormwater testing of the Las Positas subwatershed at the city's municipal golf course. Upper Las Positas Creek, a tributary to Arroyo Burro, underwent a massive creek restoration and stormwater quality improvement project in 2009. Stormwater runoff from nearby surface streets, Adams Elementary School, and the golf course is treated naturally as it travels through the project before it is released into Las Positas Creek and ends up in the ocean at Arroyo Burro Beach.
So we've been able to capture all of that stormwater, and it's treated on site it's captured in large detention basins on the course where the water can infiltrate into the soil, where it's treated naturally. It evaporates, and it provides wildlife habitat for lots of bird species who enjoy the water at the course.
We just did some samples from one of the biggest ponds at the golf course during the last big storm, and we found that between the upper pond and where the water's discharged, that the indicator bacteria levels were basically cut in half, and that's probably a lot of that is due to settling out of sediment that the bacteria were attached to. But it's really encouraging to see such distinct results.
The Creeks Division also checks for contaminants and water flow in fish passage projects during stormy weather events. The Fish Passage Project in the Caltrans channels consists of a low-flow channel with a series of artificial resting stops built in the Mission Creek corridor along Highway 101. They are designed to decrease water flow and increase depth, making it easier for the endangered Southern California steelhead trout to travel upstream following storms.
Now that we've gotten some good storms coming through those projects, the Creeks Division is out there trying to measure the flow rates and see if they're A, good for the steelhead, and B, close to what the project was designed to accomplish.
We do look at water quality and its impacts on those fish and their ability to spawn and continue to survive in our local creeks.
Pesticides and stormwater runoff are also a major concern for the Creeks Division. 2 relatively new pesticides have been found in storm samples. Pyrethroid pesticides are hard to detect during storm events because it binds to sediment. It is toxic to organisms that dwell in the sediment on the creek bed floor.
The compounds that we are finding ideally are so tightly bound to the grains that they're not bioavailable to the test critters, but it's still a great concern.
Another kind of pesticide that is concerning to staff, neonicotinoids, or neonics. They've been found in every stormwater sample collected by the Creeks Division in the last 2 years. Neonics have been recently connected to the health of honeybees.
The levels are really low, but people are starting to realize that the toxicity thresholds that have been set by the EPA are perhaps way too low. So we might be having more chronic and cumulative toxicity. We don't have any other pesticide or group of pesticides that we've seen with such consistency and reliability in our storm runoff. And that means there's a lot of it out there and a lot of it getting into our creeks.
Because of the widespread presence of neonics in urban runoff, the Creeks Division has partnered with researchers from UC Santa Barbara to better understand the potential impact this pesticide has on coastal streams and estuaries.
At the state level, there's more regulations about how those pesticides are applied and how to keep them out of runoff. And hopefully we'll see statewide improvement with that.
These samples were sent to an outsourced lab, Test America, to perform advanced testing. Results are studied and compared to previous water data and help the Creeks Division determine whether restoration and water quality improvement projects are performing as designed. They also help staff know where additional outreach efforts might be needed related to specific pollutants of concern.